Hey, Steve Smith.
Hey, Bret Starr.
How are you doing today, man?
Doing good. Enjoying early fall here in the great Midwest.
Yeah, we're having a pretty crisp day in Fort Worth as well. The wind is blowing. You know, you remember those like howling wind days in Fort Worth?
Mm-hmm.
It's blowing like 35 miles per hour right now. You can kind of hear it outside my windows, I bet. Well, holy shit, man. What a week. What a week in work tech.
Seems like we're saying that every week, though.
I know, but it just keeps like, the hits keep coming. Mm-hmm. What do you want to talk about first? I mean, there's, three big ones. There's probably a lot of other stuff we could talk about.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's jumping out at me is the Awardco Series A, $65 million, which, going back through our archives, is pretty easily the biggest Series A in the history of work tech.
$65 million Series A for Awardco.
Yeah.
You know, I love those guys. I love Awardco. I've been watching them for a long time. They've been doing a lot of things right. I'm super happy for them. I think that is a recognition solution that, can totally take over the mid-market for sure. But also, and I don't have any, insight into what they're planning to do with all that money, but, it certainly sets the stage for them, to aggressively pursue a broader EX position, if they were interested in that, or maybe even to, move upstream because they have so many, advantages, in terms of their, recognition and rewards, components.
Well, and I think it's sort of validation of employee recognition that, I sort of feel like recognition has gotten lost in the shuffle a little bit because a lot of these continuous performance management solutions have sort of co-opted the peer-to-peer recognition component as part of the continuous performance conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that there's been a lot of just sort of movement in that direction. I mean, I think probably the best example is WorkHuman going really hard into that continuous performance management area. But I think that it's really kind of opened up the lane for companies that have wanted to stay kind of true to employee recognition. I think that, it really is, I think the appropriate solution for where the workplace is right now. It is, building cultures of recognition, having positive conversations between managers, employees, peers, organizations to the workforce in a way that I think enhances the employee experience and not really kind of focusing on, hey, let's cascade our goals. And if you didn't make it, we're going to be really pissed off at you. Yep. And it feels like this is a lot more in alignment with what employers really need right now.
Yeah. Well, let's just kind of do the workup on Awardco real quick because this should not come as a surprise to anyone. Anyone who's been watching Awardco or watching the recognition space, this should not come as a surprise. And here are just a couple of the reasons I can think of off the top of my head. First of all, somehow they got an exclusive relationship with Amazon to basically have Amazon be their entire rewards catalog. And, a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, we have Amazon in our rewards catalog. And it's like gift cards or, something like that. But they actually are integrated directly with Amazon. And I actually saw this on a demo one time. The price of AirPods changed out in the world on the Amazon marketplace, and it immediately changed inside the Awardco system. Mm-hmm. So that level of integration and the fact that they are very upfront about the fact that there is no markup ever on anything gave them an advantage that had not been seen in the marketplace for probably 15 years. Because there was a time, you and I have been in this space for a long time, I'm sure everyone knows that by now, But there was a time when lots of people were kind of integrated with Amazon, and then Amazon shut it all down. Mm-hmm. I would love to hear the story one day of how that Amazon relationship came to be. Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't have any direct insight into it. But yeah, I mean, it did turn into an unfair advantage. But I also think that it minimizes a little bit some of the things that they've done well there, because I think that they have a brand that has a lot of swagger.
Yeah.
I mean, they just have this sort of like easy confidence about them.
Yeah.
I think that, their founder and CEO, Steve Sonnenberg, came out of Qualtrics. There's been, I think, a Qualtrics diaspora of really great founders and CEOs. It's not a surprise that the Qualtrics founder put money into Awardco. The whole Salt Lake City kind of like tech ecosystem is just humming along right now. There's so many good companies there. But, that I think that they have, done well with the technical execution on the product, but I think that they've also done well just with building the brand that they have.
Oh, well, look, I was just getting started. So when I say, hey, Amazon was, a huge coup, I'm not saying that's one of like 15 things that they did right. I'm not going to name all 15, but I'm just getting started. So please don't let the message be that, they have an unfair advantage because of Amazon and that's all. No, I think it's that was a really interesting strategic move, right? And then the second thing was like punching the industry in the mouth when it came to markup on incentives. Right. And hitting that head on and making it core to their message, I think was a really smart and super compelling move, because it sends the message that we care more about the people than the stuff,
Yeah.
And so we don't want to make, the money on the stuff. It's like you should buy our software because our software is good software and will create a great experience for your people and help achieve a better employee experience.
Right.
So by taking all that nonsense off the table, you remember how people, couldn't figure out for a long time. It's like, are you bill on redemption? Are you bill on issuance? Are you like, what's the breakage? It was like, you had to have like a master's degree in, like procurement to understand how, recognition rewards companies made their money, and they just completely took that off the table. So brilliant. And then their software is great. And, they were in the flow of work before most of the work tech solutions that I can think of were in the flow of work. And so this notion, and think about like what it takes to be one of the first companies that works so hard to put your solution into someone else's workflow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a real like egoless move in many ways. It's like, hey, we want people to be able to create cultures of gratitude. And so we need to meet them where they are, and where they are is in their productivity apps. They're in Slack, they're in Outlook, et cetera, et cetera. If they want to, use, Awardco and those systems, and let them do it. And I would be really, really surprised if they were not the first recognition company to deliver a solution in the flow of work. I don't know of anyone that did it earlier.
Well, I don't know about earlier, but what's interesting is you're starting to see a lot more companies kind of within recognition go straight to no markup. Let's monetize the software and go straight ahead with that. Kudos is another example that also has really good software. They're moving up market. They're in the flow of work. They've got good integrations with Slack, Microsoft Teams, the Microsoft ecosystem. I think Kazoo's probably another one. I did a briefing with them recently and was very impressed coming away with what they've done with the product over the last year.
Yep.
So it seems like there's a lot more kind of happening in that regard. But I think that it's sort of indicative of kind of what's going on in the space across the board, as you've seen private equity begin to get more heavily involved. WorkHuman has new ownership in the last year. Achievers, Reward Gateway. There's a lot of really well capitalized companies out there that I think see the opportunity and are getting loaded up and ready to go run right at it.
Yeah, and I can't help but think, and tell me what you think, but I can't help but think that this move to simplify the revenue streams inside recognition companies is somewhat, motivated by an increasing level of sophistication around the shareholder value of those models. Mm-hmm. So when, you and I do workups on companies all the time. And, when it comes to recognition companies, they are the hardest because, you have to look at how much of their revenue is software as a service, how much of their revenue is services, and then how much of their revenue is redemption revenue.
Right.
And the gross margin on each of those is different, and it's different for each company, and the ratio is different for each company. And so what I've noticed over the years is that complexity becomes a real burden that when it comes time to sell or to try to go public, like some companies have done in the past, I think it kind of gets in the way of them maximizing the value of that organization because it doesn't look like pure SaaS, revenue. Do you think that there's like companies moving more in that direction specifically because they value the multiples on SaaS companies?
Yeah, I think that's totally happening. The traditional sort of rewards business model looks terrible on paper if you're trying to take your company public. Work even found that out, 5-6 years ago. But it's a great business model because of the pass-through revenue. I think that what we're seeing now is definitely an awareness that you have to move more toward monetizing the software. And I think that there's always going to be, at the large enterprise level, a buyer for sort of that traditional rewards and recognition spend where it's just like, hey, we've got this budget allocated. We want to talk about, what are we getting per point? And they start really kind of like running it through kind of the procurement conversation where it's just like, how low can we negotiate this? But on the other hand, I think you're seeing a lot of talent leaders coming into the conversation of, hey, we're more compelled by turning recognition into a habit and building a culture of recognition. And we understand and buy into the value proposition of the software enabling that and making it happen. And we're willing to pay for that software.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that, all of this movement towards basically charging for the software is putting pressure on people to create great software. Yeah. And that pressure is resulting in a big spike in innovation in software right now. I'm specifically, of course, talking about the recognition space right now. And that's a good thing for everybody. So I'm really glad it's happening. But it reminds me of I once interviewed a very high level. I'm trying to figure out how to say this without saying who it is, but I did an interview with a very high level HR executive at an airline, and it's a pretty big airline, and I was speaking with this person about kind of all the different programs that they have in play at this airline, and recognition and well-being and performance, and all these different things. And I said, I was trying to kind of poll for the moment where customers start to prize integration and platforms over kind of separate categories, because that's a significant moment in market development. Mm-hmm. And at some point, you get like an integrated talent management platform, and the market goes in that direction because you don't want to have a separate talent acquisition, learning, development, performance category solution anymore. And so that's why I was asking the question. And this person's response was, I would love for my well-being and recognition vendor to be one, because I would have more negotiating power on the rewards. And I was like, see, that's what happens when you make it about the stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like the procurement people, the HR people want to drive the cost down. The vendors want to continue to emphasize like why their catalog is better than other people's catalogs and why they deserve, that extra 1% or whatever. Yeah. And they're not talking about people anymore. And so I'm glad all this stuff has happened. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, and there's an argument to that, but it's just like at the end of the day, there's still a lot of business of, organizations that are spending tens of millions of dollars a year on the stuff, and there's a lot of business there, and it's sort of the rule of business: sell people what they want to buy, and there's a lot of people who want to buy the stuff.
Well, I mean, let's not forget, of course, like OC Tanner's not going anywhere. Like BI Worldwide's not going anywhere. Right. It's funny because in that context, when I say like OC Tanner's not going anywhere, I'm not painting them into a corner because they're incredibly innovative from
right.
A software perspective, but they are also a big provider of milestones and stuff like that. And so I think there's always going to be that kind of part of the market, and I think it's really, really significant to some company cultures and stuff like that, and should be there. But I just love this crazy roller coaster of innovation that we're on in some of these categories. And you know what? The last thing I'll say about recognition, I mean, it's over 100 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these companies have been in the space like literally over 100 years. Like Engage to Excel used to be Tharp Robbins, and they are, I think, over 100 years old, maybe like 120 years old. I think they used to make like the little coins that astronauts would take into space.
Yeah.
It's like, and there's a company down the street here, Inspirus, and Inspirus is over 100 years old. They started as a company that made watches for train conductors basically when they hit 20 years and stuff like that. And it's just so interesting that category just keeps going and evolving and changing. A lot of the vendors in that category are stuck in different moments of time. Like I think about MTM Recognition out in Oklahoma, mm-hmm. who makes the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they have some, pretty decent, software to like manage,
mm-hmm.
kind of the inventories of rewards and stuff like that. But I think they're also really happy, like making the Heisman Trophy and manufacturing stuff, and they're pretty big and they do all right. Yeah. And so, when I was growing up, my dad would always get like a bottle of Jack and turkey, around the holidays. And he thought that was the greatest thing that he worked for Texaco. He thought that was the greatest thing that a company could ever do is send you a turkey and a bottle of Jack. So there you go. Where's my turkey?
Yeah.
My bottle of Jack. What else is going on?
What else is going on? Parker Conrad is back in the news. Rippling got $250 million.
I'm very happy for Parker Conrad, and I'm also glad to see that he's in the news for a really good reason.
Well, I mean, the headlines aside, the Zenefits Rippling comparisons, I think that the business model that Rippling has is very interesting because it's just very much a different take around what should SMB HCM look like, and going hard toward integration, which we know is one of the thorniest issues that organizations everywhere have, and it seems like there's a lot of upside potential just kind of like going down that route, and they don't really have any competition, doesn't seem like.
Well, tell me why they're special and why they deserve all that money. Like, what do they do that's so amazing?
Well, it's all about how do you make integrations and single sign-on really a reality. It's just like a lot of times, there's talk about, oh yeah, we can integrate with everybody, but the reality is often quite different. It's not, and it's not necessarily just the integrations with your payroll and your HRIS and, your benefits and those kind of things. It's how are you integrating with other enterprise systems? How are you tying into the CRM? How are you tying into all of the other, plethora of cloud solutions that even small companies have, dozens of these, mm-hmm. and how do you turn that into something that is easy to do and makes sense?
Yeah. So are they more of like are they going to operate more at, what we used to call like the application tier, or are they trying to be the user experience?
I think it's more like almost EX focused, where it really is about let's create a more seamless experience for the end user.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's differentiated, and they seem to be growing. So.
Yeah, it's interesting as employee experience and the employee experience platform has become the dominant label for, the moment that we're in right now. There still exists some confusion over what employee experience means. Mm-hmm. For some people, it kind of reminds me of like when people used to get confused about engagement, because there was like 3 levels of engagement.
Right.
There was like, do people engage with your product? Then, do they participate? And then are they engaged people at work, right? And so right. You never really knew which engagement people were talking about. And now, I think that there are some people who believe that employee experience is purely a UXP, a user experience platform play,
right.
where it's solely about the, creating a consumer grade, seamless interaction with software systems inside a company. And then there's this other, definition of employee experience, which is actually the experience that employees have with every component of the company. And 2 very different things. And I think it gets compounded a little bit by, Workday everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, besides the fact that sounds to me like a dystopian nightmare, Workday everywhere. It's like, I'm going to open my curtains and Workday's going to be there. It's like, Workday's everywhere. But, it's like when you read a lot of the write-ups that are out there on Workday everywhere, they're positioning it, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I can edit it out. But
we'll fix it in post.
Yeah, fix it in post. They're positioning it as an employee experience platform, but a lot of the breakdowns tend to focus on the fact that they're, opening up their ecosystem to allow people to, build apps mm-hmm. and, to integrate and, stuff that, they were the Apple of, work tech.
Yeah.
I think Josh Person called them the walled garden. They had the walled garden approach.
Well, yeah, and they were, for most of the last decade, have been notoriously difficult to integrate with. I've talked to lots of companies say, yeah, we have a mutual customer, we need to integrate, and we're just getting face-palmed by Workday. Mm-hmm. And the world we're living in won't support that anymore. So it sort of feels like, as opposed to like Salesforce, who will, if somebody builds, a one-person enterprise software solution in their basement, we'll integrate with that. Has a very kind of open ecosystem approach. As long as you buy a giant booth at Workday or Dreamforce, there's that. But it seems like Workday is a little bit late to the party on that, but they're trying to make up for lost time, and I think very much run straight at the Microsoft Viva monolith that seems to be emerging.
You said a lot of stuff there. So hold on. Are you suggesting that there are pay-for-play dynamics in enterprise software?
I didn't say that. Those are your words, not mine.
It seemed like you were implying something there, and I just want to make sure that we all know that there is no pay-for-play. Of course there's pay-for-play. Are you kidding me? So those partner programs drive me nutso. It's like, oh, you want to partner with, this big vendor? Okay, step 1, give us, $50,000. Mm-hmm. Step 2, here's a, an SDK.
Yeah.
And we'll give you a little bit of like training. And then step 3, let's deny your app and not pay any attention to you. And you're lucky if you get carried in our press release, but thanks for the $50K.
Right.
And also, buy a booth and, all that stuff, but whatever. It's just, I'm sure it only happened a couple of times. But you brought up another point, which is Workday aiming at Microsoft, right? Mm-hmm. And to me, that highlights this issue that I was talking about around the different, nuances of employee experience. I think Microsoft has a real employee experience platform.
Yeah, they do.
And I think it's getting more real all the time. And they also have access to, the largest productivity app in the world where people actually are in it all the time.
Right.
And so you want to talk about delivering, employee experience stuff like wellness, learning, recognition, performance in the flow of work. I mean, you can't beat Microsoft, right?
Hmm.
Workday everywhere, which again terrifies me. It's like a Halloween theme. They don't seem to be doing that. So I'm trying to figure out how they're going at Microsoft with an employee experience position. Where's the employee experience part? And I'm honestly asking this. I'm not it's okay, I get it. They're going to allow people to build apps and, integrate and all that stuff. But who gets into Workday? You know what I mean? That's not flow of work.
No, well, they want it to be, and I think that it's more of a defensive position because it's just this. This is all kind of great power conflict. You've got what's going on with Microsoft, and they own so much of the enterprise because of Azure and Office and on and on and on. But then it's just Salesforce has just acquired Slack. They're making definitely a hard run at this. SAP and ServiceNow are playing hardball in that area. So it's, just the competitive dynamics keep accelerating. And so just needing to have an answer to start with, I think, is really what this is about, or it seems to be about.
Yeah, and I don't want to beat up on Workday, but I am a little bit, because I think the words are important. And, flow of work means something. It means that you're delivering something in the flow of work. It's non-interruptive in nature, It's in the systems that you're using every day. Hmm. It seems to me that they are positioning this as a flow of work employee experience solution. And I think that distorts the meaning of what flow of work actually is. I don't know if you disagree. Platform as a service is a form of flow of work. I don't know. But I don't see how they get to lay claim to flow of work. And I still don't understand how they lay claim to employee experience platform, just because it seems this is how I imagined it happened. I'm sure it didn't happen this way, and I want you to talk me out of this, but I just imagined that there was a board meeting and, everyone's sitting around and they're like, well, you know what? We should probably open up the Workday world to other developers and let people start, building on our platform and, opening up our ecosystem and being a better, kind of technology citizen in terms of integration and stuff like that. And then some other dude in a different department said, oh, and we can call it an employee experience play or flow of work or something like that. And it's two different things, and I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. Help me wrap my mind around it.
I think it was Phil Mickelson who said that. So he just came off the 18th.
Yeah.
Said, Workday everywhere. You're welcome.
Well, I love the name. And if Phil Mickelson's caddy had, offered that advice, I definitely would have taken it. But I'll drop it. But am I missing something? Is this just a marketing position for what is a very significant announcement? It's a clearly significant announcement.
Well, and I think that there's the marketing element to it, but I've even spoken to people who are insiders at Microsoft and have a lot of specific knowledge about the development of Viva, and I think that there's still an element of vaporware there, that it's more good marketing than it is technical capability.
Yeah. And
I think that the best brands are marketing ahead of product capability.
Yeah.
And so I think that I think Workday has always done that. They were a fantastic brand before they really had any kind of product in the market back in 2006, 2007. But that's what you have to do. You have to start marketing it relentlessly, before that you're able to deliver on it. And I think that's one of the things that Microsoft is doing well right now. Except if you're Microsoft, you've got just the heft to throw at it and make up a lot of ground in a short period of time.
Yeah, and Workday's always done a great job. And again, I'm not intentionally beating up Workday. I just think this is a very important moment. Like, really, I think this is a very important moment. And it's the moment where, like, we kind of talk about it as the reverse mullet, where, like, people put their money where their mouth is, and they'll actually start putting the employee experience first. And build a great customer experience and a great shareholder experience because they're putting the employee experience first. And so I want employee experience to mean something that is clearly understood,
right,
and that people will get behind in a very human way and not have the waters muddied.
Well, and I think to that point, was another story that came up this week that, kind of got my dander up specifically about Microsoft is a lot of the nanny tech that they're building into their software solutions to basically find out if, your hybrid workforce, your remote workers are actually working, or are they on J.Crew shopping, and it's just like, I feel like that sort of Orwellian nanny tech is not the kind of solution that is going to create a better employee experience. And I think that, that's actually the kind of technology that drives people out of organizations.
I agree. And that's wrong on so many levels. And I mean, specifically layers of abstraction, right? It's like you shouldn't have to monitor people's, internet behavior.
Yeah.
But then there's that second layer, which is you shouldn't care.
Right.
And some people are just like, okay, we don't want people on the internet, so let's monitor it. And then some people are like, well, let's, make people not want to be on the internet. Right. On J.Crew. And that's still wrong. It should be more like, who the fuck cares? It's Thursday. You've got to be at a wedding on Saturday, and it's stressing you the fuck out that you don't have like a dress shirt. And so you're going to go on J.Crew and buy it. And, and when you buy it, you're going to feel a lot better. And, great. It's like life just is, it's just different.
Well, it's just the entire construct of the 9-to-5 workday goes back to basically the Taylor management system of the 19th century. It was designed around the fact of we need to do work when there's daylight because we don't have electric lights. Yeah. We don't have transportation to take people home. You might get eaten by a werewolf. Who knows? And so it's just like, why?
It's Workday everywhere.
That werewolf is called Workday everywhere. And so
I like how you put electric lights in air quotes as if they were not a real thing. But you didn't put werewolf in air quotes.
Werewolves are real, Brett.
I'm sorry.
Werewolves are real.
Electricity's fake. You're a Luddite. You're a Luddite and might be in a coven.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's Halloween. It's Halloween coming up.
Yeah. You had a point. Did I shake you off your point?
No, the point is that the 9-to-5 workday is an artificial construct that we've managed to hold on to into the second decade of the 21st century, simply because CEOs feel better if people are going into the office so they can keep an eye on them to make sure that they're working. Because the supposition is, if I'm not keeping an eye on you, you're not going to deliver value. You're going to go shopping on J.Crew or wandering off into the woods, and then maybe we'll never find you. Who knows what'll happen?
Yeah.
And that's just not the case.
No, it's not. And you know what? It's like it's insidious, and it's embedded in even some of the things that we think are like innovative ways of viewing the world. So, like for a long time, like lean manufacturing has been held up as like, this like human first, approach to, kind of manufacturing in a different way, creating more multi-skilled people who can, flow with work in a different way, and, et cetera, et cetera. But when you really start digging deep into some of these models, you'll find remnants of traditional management systems. So there's this concept in lean called Gemba, which is like managing by walking around, which means literally like going in down. And I want to be really specific about that. That means you in your white shirt and your tie come downstairs from all the offices up there onto the floor where all the people are doing the work. See how I used air quotes? That was for you. And you walk around, and that's the best way to manage, right? And inherent in that is that's like, oh, people are going to work harder or work better if I'm walking around, and or with my genius big brain, by simply walking around, I'm going to be able to spot things and fix them that the people who are actually doing the fucking work aren't going to see for themselves. Right. And so, it's like all these systems that there's just some things that are deeply embedded from conventional notions of, work 100 years ago that even agile can't escape, even lean can't escape, even.
Well, and they're so hardwired into the way the world works, and it's just like, whenever, everyone took a hard left turn at the beginning of 2020 when the pandemic hit, it's just like it really became clear just how much of that, archaic thinking is still very much embedded into how companies of all sizes everywhere, all cultures, have that mentality embedded into how they work. And really kind of unpacking that and getting away from that is not something that has, great, we're already done, we just need some software and we're good to go. This is something that is going to be ongoing over the next, 15 to 20 years. You don't change that sort of cultural conditioning overnight.
No, and this is a sea change moment, though. I mean, that's what's happening right now. And, just to harp on my point one last time, that's why it's so important that we get it right, and work tech is playing such a significant role in transforming society right now for the better. Mm-hmm. And part of that role has to be recognizing that the relationship between the employee experience, the customer experience, and the shareholder experience, and then the social impact of that value chain is kind of out of balance. Not kind of, it's significantly out of balance.
Right.
And as an industry, we can do something about that, and we have a responsibility. And so we need to be careful, not in a way that keeps us from taking risks or innovating or running a good business and marketing ahead of the mark or whatever. But we just need to know that this is our shot. What we can achieve over the next 10 years will leave a better world for our children if we do what we have it in our power to do. And everybody out here who's listening to this podcast, if you go to work for a work tech company, you literally have the power to change people's lives through generations based on the work that we do over these next 10 years. And don't lose sight of that, because that's the most important thing.
Amen.
Amen. All right, man. Well, what are you doing for Halloween? I asked you last time, and you said you were going to go out on Saturday and try to avoid trick-or-treating. I checked in because you asked, and I did some research. Okay. You said, well, is the trick-or-treating going to happen on Saturday, or is it going to happen on Sunday? And
what did your research, what did the science tell you?
Well, I did primary, secondary, quantitative, and qualitative research. Mm-hmm. I think that the field research was the most informative because I asked about 10 parents, and they all thought that was the dumbest question that had ever been asked in the history of Halloween. Or Halloween's on Sunday. It's like it's on Halloween. So that I'd asked them a dumb question, not that you're.
No, that's sort of my take. It's just like you go trick or treating on Halloween. But then, the fact that you have the day before is Saturday, would that be, that's the adult party night. So you have, all of Sunday to be hungover and eat Subway and sit in front of the TV watching football.
So are you going to start like a change.me.org or change.org, changeme.org? Are you going to start a change.org petition to get trick-or-treating moved? Or?
No. Not... that's not in my wheelhouse anymore. I've my trick or treating days are behind me as a parent. So, no. So Saturday, going out to dinner and then the symphony. So the most non-Halloweeny thing you can do, and then Sunday probably give out some candy. Wearing my costume as a grumpy old man.
Oh, good. I thought you were going to turn your lights off.
I would ordinarily do that, but it's about the kids. It's about the children. What about the children, Brett?
about the children. And just to, in closing, I would say that the symphony is where everybody in all the horror films has always just been before they get attacked by a werewolf.
You mean
like they're coming
werewolves?
Werewolves. They're coming home in like a tuxedo.
Yeah.
And they're walking by the park, and a werewolf jumps out. Mm-hmm. It's like they've been at the symphony. So,
and their last words are, "Oh no, it's workday everywhere." What about you, Brett? What are you doing?
Oh shit, man! I've spent the last week building a candy chute so that we can deliver candy while socially distanced from children.
So is it like an ice sculpture, like a shot luge?
I would, that's a much better idea, but it's not going to be cold enough here. I got some HVAC tubing because the PVC pipe stuff was too heavy, and so I got some really light aluminum HVAC tubing, and I painted it to look like that snake in what's the Tim Burton?
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, the Nightmare Before Christmas. So there's this kind of black and white, kind of claymation snake. And I'm hanging it up at Dale and Kathy's house because their neighborhood's where all the good trick-or-treating is. And it hangs at like a 45-degree angle, and you just drop the candy in it, and the kids put their basket down below it, and you can stay, 8 feet away from them.
That's truly the spirit of Halloween.
Safety can be fun, Steve.
Okay. If you say so. Don't run with scissors.
Yeah, I'm not sure the whole thing's going to work out, frankly. All right, man. Well, it was good talking to you again. I'm going to press stop. Well, you can
good talking to you.
Good talking to you.
Good talking to you.
And 3, 2, 1. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you.
Good talking to you. Okay, bye.
Good talk.
I'm pressing stop.